I've taken a lot of photos, hundreds and hundreds of thousands to be exact, but which ones are my best? What shots did I make that absolutely blew people away, and how did I make them? Well, lucky for you guys, I have a folder of my most popular shots right here, and I'm going to be explaining exactly what went behind them in terms of editing and behind the scenes, and what made them so great that made people love them. There are some absolutely insane stories behind some of these shots, and I think that you're going to want to wait till the end because I have a shot that kind of went a little too viral for me to even control, so stay tuned. Without further ado, let's get into the shots. So the first shot I'm going to go over is my shot Astral Balance, which I took in North Cascades earlier this year during the summer. This is probably my favorite astrophotography shot I've ever taken. It got a lot of likes, one of my most liked posts, and the story behind it is absolutely wild. So basically earlier this July, me, my friend Hattie, Quincy, and Hudson all went on a trip to the North Cascades. You might remember this if you watched this video right here, which is a short film about my experience with this trip, but ultimately it all culminated into this one night of astro. Now, me and Hudson are huge astrophotography fans. We love everything about the medium, and once we started researching, we realized that North Cascades had very little light pollution. And after we looked even further, we realized that there was going to be a new moon, which meant there was no moon, and there was going to be absolutely no clouds. We got stoked because we knew this was the perfect opportunity, so I packed in my tripod and bag, and we got ready to shoot. But once we arrived to our campsite, we realized there was a spot about an hour and a half away from us that was going to be absolutely insane. With a massive mountain in the middle of the sky and this insane viewpoint, we realized the Milky Way was going to go in between this mountain peak. So I made our exhausted friend Hattie drive an hour and a half at around 9:30, and once we got there, it was just literally a view I could not comprehend. It was so breathtaking, and I knew that these shots were going to be insane. And with over 5 hours of shooting, Quincy sleeping on the rock because he didn't even bring his camera, and Hattie having to drive back after all of that, this is my favorite shot I got from that shoot. The story behind it, the colors, and the framing of this shot are something that I just adore, and it ended up being one of my favorite shots from the summer. Now, if you know astrophotography, you know that the final image is going to look a lot different than the raw image because of things like processing and color adjustment, but this one was absolutely insane. The difference is super noticeable, and I'm going to break down how I kind of did it with only one shot. I did try to get some stacked images, but honestly, I found this was my favorite, which is surprising because it's only one exposure, but I'll break down how I edited it, and I got all those star details out anyways. So my tone adjustments were not actually that big, mostly just basic stuff to make the image pop out pretty well, but it all came down to my tone curves. I did a lot of adjustment to the tone curve to look like this, and as you can see, it makes a huge difference in what's visible and what's not visible in an astro image. And also my saturation at HSL is all over the place. You can see the saturation is crazy. Things that I saturated are super strong or super not strong. And this is because the image is a lot more grainy and a lot more detailed, so you have to be really specific of what you bring out. And then just some small denoising, some little bit of changes with the color grading, and that's basically it. It's mostly done with just the tone curve and the HSL, and I think I'm really happy with how I processed this image, especially with one shot. I think it was insane, and this shot is still one of my favorites of all time. Next up, we have this shot called Two Sides of Fall, and it is honestly one of my favorites. It's a lot more early in my work, but it's still one of the shots that I can't believe I captured. This was taken before I got really any following. I had about 500 followers at this point. It was taken in Muskoka in 2022 fall, and it is absolutely insane. It was taken with a drone, and it was honestly super spontaneous. We were just driving around Lake of Bays looking for fall leaves. I noticed that one side was a lot different in color than the other side, and I thought that was really cool. What I didn't realize was that when I was going to fly it up, it was going to be completely different. I was absolutely blown away, but I only had a DJI Mini 1 at this point, which meant I couldn't shoot portrait. I could only shoot landscape, which didn't really illustrate the beauty of it very well. So I took about 5 shots panning upwards of the view, and I ended up making a panorama, and that's what this image is. And I actually don't have the raw edit of it because it was taken on this laptop that was used for traveling, that is far gone now. I have not seen it in years, but the final image is still so beautiful, and I'm still so proud of it. This is one of my favorite views I've ever had in photography, and I'm so glad I got to capture this weird moment in time. Next up, we have this set called Ghosts Can Have Fun Too, and it was taken last year and is actually my most liked post ever. It got over 144K likes and 2,000 story shares, and it was one of my favorite shoots I've ever done. The story behind this one is really simple and kind of dumb. I love always making Halloween-related posts. You might have seen my one this year, but at that point, I had no idea what I wanted to shoot, and I wanted to do something that was kind of fun that people could reshare in their stories. So my friend got the bright idea of making a ghost-inspired photo shoot with ghosts and tablecloth, as everyone does. But we didn't have tablecloth or bed sheets or blankets. We had absolutely nothing. except for an IKEA we went to about 4 hours before the shoot. So with that, the 3 friends that could make it and the 3 IKEA tarps we bought about 4 hours before were all we had to do to make this shoot look good. So we sent it, we just got our car, we drove around different spots, found cool ideas, and I just kind of shot what I saw in front of me and was fun. And it landed me with a set of about 8 photos that I thought were kind of silly, but still loved them and decided to post them anyways. And people ended up loving it. People loved the silly vibes of it and the dumb Halloween spirit of it, and it actually did really well. The editing of them is pretty unremarkable. I just did some stuff with my vintage preset and my neon preset and whatever I had on hand, but it ended up working out really well, and this is still one of my favorite photo sets I've ever posted. Next up, we have a shot that was taken just about less than 2 months ago, called Lost in Aurora, and it's taken in BC of the Northern Lights. The story behind this one is also pretty crazy. I actually did not know there was going to be Northern Lights until about an hour and a half, 2 hours before I left. I found out from my friend Luke. Luke told me about the actual strength of the Northern Lights and the location. He was going to be at Pitt Lake as well, and he was saying that I should come out and check them out. And I actually was super tired. I knew I was going to travel the next day, so I was kind of on the fence. But the second he sent a picture, I was like, holy crap, I have to go. So I texted the same Hudson. He was down, of course, and we ended up driving about an hour and 40 minutes to the spot, super spontaneously with just whatever gear I had charged and ready in my bag. And oh my god, the lights were insane. Seriously, like the best I had ever seen, so much better than the first time that I saw them in May, and I was just blown away. I thought I was frantically shooting, not knowing how long they would last. I realized that I didn't really have a good subject for my shots, so I just kind of made Hudson go walk in the field and pose for me, and it looked like this. I kept using Hudson and myself as subjects for shots. By the end of the night, I had a set of about 6 to 8 photos that was absolutely breathtaking. And this ended up being another one of my most liked posts and ended up being one of my favorite shoots of all time. So yeah, in terms of adjustments, I didn't do too much, just some stuff with the tone, lowering the clarity, and of course that tone curve effect I showed you earlier. Link in the description or right here to see that tutorial. And just like that, that's it. I didn't use any HSL or color grading to make the colors pop out because it was just that beautiful. And this is one of my favorite shots ever. As much as I love editing, having a shot that doesn't need to do much in terms of color is really fun because it shows the true color that you saw in the moment, and it just makes for a really nice photo that doesn't feel too fake. And with that, we have my biggest shot of all time, one that you might not even know I took, and one that absolutely blew up on Reddit, getting over 20 million impressions, Shades of the Evening. The story behind this one is wild. It is so insane. Basically, when I was in high school, I had this idea of getting a sunset and a power line and waiting about 2 to 3 hours with all the colors changing to make a really cool compositional shot. I was subconsciously inspired by Alex Herner. He does it in a very compositional style. He takes different, views and skies and makes them into one shot. But I wanted to do it so it was just one singular sunset in the same spot with a tripod. Photographer Graphic Cal has also done this before, and he is so insanely talented. He is one of my favorite photographers I know, and he is just insane. Go check out his work. But without that in the way, I walked over to this power line near my kind of, childhood home, and I started shooting. It was only about 2 to 3 hours of shooting, but I ended up getting about 15 to 20 shots I could use as a composite, and I went right to work. I basically just got some music on, opened Photoshop, and just started editing all the areas individually with the Magic Wand tool. I would just select the area, copy it, paste it, and then go on forth for all the different areas. And it was overall about a 4 to 5 hour process of just selecting all the areas and making it look good. By the end of it, I did some light adjustments and the photo looked like this, and it clearly resonated with people because it just blew up when I posted it. Specifically on Reddit, I posted it and we got over 40k upvotes and ended up being one of the most liked photos of that year, and it just started blowing up from there. It was on accounts like Photos That Should Be Album Covers, and it started going on to, TikTok slideshows, and it just started seeing it all over. And as cool as this was, I wasn't anywhere near a presence at that time, and that photo basically transpired me completely. No one knew I took that photo. I didn't watermark it. I didn't push it that hard, and it led to me feeling kind of disappointed because I would see people with it as like their wallpaper or like posting about it, and they didn't even know I was on behind it, and I was like, damn. It would be cool if you knew like I actually took that one. But it was still so cool to see people love that photo and it to go almost beyond me, to be a part of history. And yeah, it's just awesome. And even seeing people connect my content to that photo now and being really surprised to know I took it is super fun. So I love this photo. I love everything it's done for me. And I might not even be in the same spot if I didn't take that photo. So yeah, it's awesome. And that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to comment which photo was your favorite. And if you want me to do a part 2, make sure you comment which photos I should discuss next. Anything I've posted or I've shared. I'd love to do a part 2 talking about more of my photos, but I have a lot more educational and content planned for YouTube. So be sure you guys subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more content, and I'll see you guys next time.